This is Scott Becker with the Becker Private Equity and Business Podcast. Thrilled today to be joined by the brilliant founder and managing director, co-managing director, Stephen Coates of Petra Funds. Stephen's going to tell us today about Petra Funds, where he's most focused, advice for entrepreneurs and founders, and a lot more. Stephen, can you take a moment and introduce yourself and tell us about Petra Funds?
Sure. I'm Steve Coates. I'm the provider of back office services for private equity funds and debt funds, a place where I've spent most of my career. And we've been in business about 2 years. We started with a spin out of a group from Riverstone Holdings, a large diversified energy fund, a few years ago.
Great. What was it like starting your own firm? What was that like? How did it go? Tell us a bit about it.
Well, I think when you see a window of opportunity or a bit of white space in a market, you have to jump at it. And my co-founder and I had spent years trying to outsource certain functions at Riverstone, where I was the general counsel and a partner, and he was the CFO, and we were underwhelmed by what we were getting back, and so thought we could do it better. Went to the founder of Riverstone and said that we wanted to do this. We wanted to do it with a group of people at the firm, and they were largely supportive. So I would say that we were fortunate to probably start on second base to some extent. We started with a very nice large client, but the business has grown kind of 40-fold from there. So.
Well, congratulations. And what do you view as the key to that growth? What has driven that growth? What did you have to do right to see that growth?
Well, I think it starts with market. I mean, we've been fortunate that the U.S. private equity and debt market and asset management is the largest, fastest growing, least penetrated and least regulated market in the world. So we're probably in a pretty good place. Technology has also come to a point where it's not all that difficult to change your administrator, which historically was not the case. So I think we had the market. Obviously, we had market. We've been, despite the fact that finance probably slowed down in the last 12 months, that we still had some tailwinds helping us. But I think we set out early on to create a really, a single sort of best in the category type of business and present ourselves as a real alternative to the other fund administrators that were out there. And that alternative being, this is work that can be done with very experienced, very high skilled professionals along the lines of what law firms have done in private equity, of setting, some of the law firms setting themselves up as the premier shops for private equity. We were trying to present ourselves as an alternative to the processing model of administration. And I think doing that early has helped us build a reputation for being, something different. And that's been instrumental in our growth.
So Stephen, tell us, help me make sure I understand. Are you guys itself investors, or you provide back office services for other funds? When I sort of look at the website and stuff like that, I'm just trying to understand. Tell us exactly what you guys do.
It's essentially all things for the private equity and private debt CFO. So anything that makes up the backbone infrastructure of a private equity fund. So accounting, compliance, management work, portfolio company monitoring, on the debt side, debt monitoring, trade settlement, all of that can be done by Petra and its teams. So it's essentially a way to outsource many of the functions that have historically been done inside of private equity funds.
Fantastic. When you look at sort of this year, the rest of this year, next year, what are your top sort of priorities? If you could list 2 to 3 top priorities, what are those? Where are you most focused?
I think we're very much focused on attracting and retaining experienced professionals. I think generally speaking, we understand that if you have to constantly hire new people, you really can never execute on what your plans are. Second, I think we're very focused on keeping with our ethos and adding on additional business functions because the market there's lots of different parts of the market. We're very focused on looking at the U.S. market, at least, and maybe the European market, and finding good bolt-on strategic opportunities where we can pick up functions like real estate, things like that. that could really add to the offering that Petra has.
Thank you. When you look at sort of advice you would give to founders, what advice would you give to a founder of a business?
Look, I think I'd have to look back at what I think we've done right, which is we move quickly. I mean, I think we laugh that, every 6 months we look at our website, we redo it, and then we look back 6 months later and are sort of mildly embarrassed by it. But I think that's actually the right way to run a business. One of the reasons that a lot of companies don't perform well as they get larger is that they don't make decisions quick enough, and have to be quickly. You're going to make some mistakes along the way, and simply fix those mistakes, because even if you make a mistake, you're probably in a better position than you would be had you never made a decision to begin with. So I think, my advice would be move quickly, because everybody else around you, your competition, is trying to move faster than you are. And if you're waiting to make sure that everything you do is done perfectly on the marketing side or the sales side or whatever it is, you're gonna miss out on some of the white space.
Thank you. And tell us sort of the most important question. You don't have to answer this if you're not comfortable with it. So bear with me, Stephen. Steve, is the Texas Longhorns, can the Longhorns compete in the SEC? What do you expect over the next decade?
Well, once again, we're about the time of year when I get very, very excited about the Texas Longhorns, and each year I'm disappointed. But I'm told, and I do a lot of reading on recruiting. I feel more confident this year than the past. This year, even in Alabama, and we'll have to see. The next 10 years is probably too far to look, but this is a solid team.
Oh, fantastic. Anything else you'd like to share with us about the Petra Funds Group? Anything else you could tell us, or where people can learn more about it? Anything else you'd like to share with us?
No, look, I think you can learn more about us on our website. Look, we're looking for experienced professionals who want to operate sort of the highest levels of this industry, and looking to speak to private equity funds out there who are tired with the processing model of fund administration and understand just how important this work is, and are willing to speak to a new provider who has a different alternative, and that's what Petra offers.
What a magnificent career, magnificent founding story. Both partnered at one of the best law firms in the world, Vincent & Elkins, then chief administrator, general counsel at a private equity fund, founder. Congratulations, Stephen. What a great career. Thank you for joining us today on the Petra Private Equity Business Podcast. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. Thanks.